All right, hello. So I'm back with another live coding of Uno Platform, and this time we're finally, hopefully, gonna finish the Gamepad API and light sensor APIs, which we started in previous sessions. So, what's missing? What's missing there? So for Gamepad API, we're missing the support for D-pad, which is a problematic thing on Android. So that's the first thing we'll look at. And secondly, for light sensor API, we will look into the Android implementation as well. So yeah, we're gonna spend a lot of time in Android today. All right, so let's get right into it. Okay, I will switch here to my gamepad branch. Hopefully I will not lose anything. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is to rebase on the latest master, because we recently merged the big branch of focus management support, which was long open PR, and it's gonna actually probably help in this case as well. So let me go here. So this is on par with upstream, so I will just rebase this one. Okay, conflicts. Yeah, so in this case we have conflicts here. So we have some additional namespaces, but we need to remove the duplicates. Okay, and that's it. Good. Just continue. And that's it. Force push. So the problem that we have actually hit on Android is that Android is trying to handle focus, and it actually handles the D-pad button on the gamepad itself. So it doesn't even get into the key down event on Android, and the system eats it before that. So apparently the problem is that the focused element is taking those key down events, then the system handles the focus, and it never goes up to the application level. So, and that's the reason why actually the focus branch changes are interesting here, because we are going to hook onto the currently focused element and will try to read or get those key down events directly from that element. Okay. So let's go first to the application activity, because I think there should be a conflict now. Because actually the focus branch added a rudimentary support for key down events on Android, and we did this thing as well on the last session of gamepad handling. So there should probably be now two different implementations of the same thing. So there's on key down, and there is on key down as well. So we have to make sure that there is only one actual implementation available. So I guess you can take this and put it here and just remove this whole thing. So, alright, so our key down handling looks like this. We first handle a gamepad, and then we try to handle the focus directional focus here. So there's up, down, right, left, and it also handles the D-pad. But I guess this doesn't have an impact because the focused element will probably eat this event before it gets here. So the question is whether we need to handle the gamepad before and then return. I think we don't want to return immediately, and actually the focus should be handled first. The reason is that the directional focus should have precedence before gamepad handling, and if directional focus handles the gamepad focus, then it should no longer be processed. I'm not sure exactly. We'll have to verify it in UWP, but it's quite possible. Okay, so first we handle focus, then gamepad. Let's test it on the phone. It's interesting. This is just a false positive error. Hello, Carl. What's up? How's the weather there? We have currently quite a stormy weather now. Freezing. Always from extreme to extreme, right? All right. Oh, yeah. I was hoping that this UnoConf would be in-person event, but it doesn't seem so, unfortunately. Cases rising again everywhere. Delta. But next year, definitely. There's a lot of geocaches I want to find in Canada. So that's another reason why go there. Actually, while we're waiting for the build, I can do something in parallel. So the bug with Monaco editor was resolved actually. The problem was this, that the JS object metadata provider was failing when there was duplicate method names, and the method names were duplicate because the focus properties are duplicated from UI element to control, and there is the new keyword used to hide those base implementations, and that causes issues because the JS object metadata provider is using 2 dictionary for method name, and when there's duplicate it completely crashes. So I made this fix, although I'm not sure if it's the ideal way to fix it. Like skipping the duplicate methods altogether to avoid errors, and to report that as a warning to the user. Like, it shouldn't be a breaking change, because it couldn't work before, but oh, anyway, I will look into my open PRs because I have some to finish here. So, cached file manager. This one is failing because there is one removed method, so I will do that in the meantime. Always have 2 copies of Uno Platform so that you can work in parallel. Alright, I don't need this one. Let's oh, which one was it? Cached file manager. Oh, we have failure. Oh, that's interesting. That sounds like some intermittent issue. Let's try another build. So, I actually don't need anything here. I will just change the div here. All right. Okay, this one. And in this case, we need to remove this method. Okay. All right. That should make it ready to merge. Okay. That's it. Now this is gonna take some time. What is deploying? Let's see. Maybe it's gonna work. Apart from that, what we have here? Yeah, the navigation view, I have to finish that update. But this should run anytime now. Good. Here we go. So let's see what happens. So I just want to verify that the existing functionality is still working, even after the changes that were added by the focus branch. So I'll go to Windows Gaming, current reading, and let's see. So okay, just broke something. Oh, that crashed quite quickly. Not sure why, actually. Doesn't seem to be any error there. Maybe I just actually closed the application using the gamepad. Let's start it again. But still, this should be enough. So let's do enumeration. We should have one gamepad. That's right. And now the readings. Huh, interesting. So now the readings don't work. Oh, actually buttons do work. Yeah, D-pad doesn't, but these do. Left thumbstick. Actually, yeah. So the problem is that we didn't implement the axis reading for Android as well. So that's something we need to add as well. Okay. So let's now try to handle the D-pad. So the thing we need to do is to make sure that when some element is focused, we wire up an event, that wire up a handler for the key down event and try to handle the D-pad there. So let's do it here. So if it's not null, we'll make sure that we add some listener. But how does it work in Android? So Android key down listener. Oh, here. Doom. Yeah. Can we get some intelligence here? Probably not. Oh, now we got. So listener. All right, because we will not get intelligence for Android things. So let's do it like this. So it should be listener on key listener. All right. So that should be like this. And the listener, let's do it like this. And the gamepad class will create some listener there. Oh, what's the class name? So it's on key listener. Like this. Implement it. Oh no, not like this, definitely. There should be something more lightweight, I presume. So how do you implement the on-key listener on Android? Yeah, that's what I need. Oh, right, I can use this. It's to be java.object. Java lang object, right? On key listener, and now I should get only one method there. Good. That's it. So in this case, I should be able to get the exact key code that I for the D-pad. So let's actually first do system diagnostics D-pad. Right. Right line, and we'll write the key code just to confirm that we get the D-pad events there, because if not, that would be unfortunate. Actually, let's do false there so that we don't handle the event. Yes, and here we will have to set the on key listener. But how to remove that listener afterwards? Is there some remove? Remove. This is a little bit tricky, because if a listener was already registered, will this override it? That's not nice. That would break things that we shouldn't do, probably. Like, we can try to do the set one, the unhandled one. Or add unhandled key event listener. But I'm afraid the system will handle the key event, so that will not be helpful. Well, let's try it. We will see if this does something useful or not. At least this is reversible, so I can remove that listener afterwards, but setting it in a way that's not reversible would not be very wise, probably. So let's do it like this. Yeah, actually, let's do it internal and put it into Uno Gaming Input. Right. And we'll have to make sure that when the focus changes, then the element will be the registration will be changed. So I will have to add here a disposable. And just make sure that it's unregistered at the beginning. And then after registration, I will have to unregister it. So let's do like this. And the disposable will be disposable. Create. And let's do remove there. We'll see. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but it's still worth trying at least. Ah yeah, because this has to be static. All right. Let's see what happens. If this is not gonna work, then I have to boost this question. I made a question regarding the gamepad handling, but I had no answer yet. So if it's not gonna help, I will add a bounty and we'll see if some Android guru will answer. All right, and in the meantime, let's read up on handling the motion events, like the triggers position and the sticks position. So we have implemented the buttons, but not the axis. So for those, we'll have to do something different. On key down is easy, but we will need something else. So that's the on generic motion event. Oh, that's interesting. So if you want to handle D-pad processing, oh, that's quite interesting. Is it possible that the D-pad is gonna be reported on generic motion event? Well, in that case, then that would be ideal, because we could circumvent the whole key down event handling and go with the on motion event then. So we can handle D-pad with generic motion event and also the joysticks. That looks quite promising, so let's try that next. But let's first see what this does. Let's check on this PR for now. Oh, it's still building. We'll see. But yeah, we can actually start in parallel on the light sensor implementation. So let's switch to Uno 2 and light sensor. So we have already implemented the WebAssembly part, and we can also implement it on Android. So that's what we're gonna do next. Okay, so I will switch Uno 2 to Android only. This is closed now. It seems it's building the samples app. So anytime now we should get deployment to the phone. So the tricky thing is to make sure not to mistake one instance of Visual Studio with another, because it's called exactly the same way and the path is not visible in the title. Oh, here. Actually on tooltip. So light sensor. This is deploying. Okay. Right. Let's add falses for Android. Actually, I've already done that, so it seems like false is here for the event, and yeah, that seems okay. So let's go to the implementation itself. It should be this one. So we have the basics handled already. There is the Android marker on top. So the only thing we have to do is to add the platform specific implementation here. So I will add a class for that. And because all the Android sensors are quite the same, I will actually reuse a lot of code that's already there. But let's go to our phone for the Gamepad Test. All right. So current reading. Okay, so buttons are working, and now what about the D-pad? Yeah, so it seems. Yeah, okay, so these are the logs, but they are handling only the buttons, but not the D-pad itself. So let's try the generic motion event there. We'll see if it helps. It would be here. On generic motion event. And let's see what they do there. This is for joystick movements, but we need this. Maybe we can actually take this code, rewrite it to C#. This might be better. And use it as it is. Okay, this is gonna be messy. So this is private constant. Now private field. Let's make this nicer. Okay, this is not gonna be a named event, but input event. So what the code does, it actually first check is if the device is D-pad enabled. This probably can be static and not public. And it's gonna be an Uno gaming input. Oh, that's a nice color. But why? What's happening? Why is it highlighting everything? That's not nice. What is this highlight? Have you seen this before? It is a PSify type, but when I stop, it does not appear anymore. Well, that was weird. Okay, let's continue rewriting. So we have this. So it first checks the device, which is another method here. Let's make it private. So D-pad. So basically it's checking if this flag is there, so I will do has flag. Why is there not equal? It doesn't make sense. That's weird. So not equal to source D-pad. It should be equal to the source D-pad. Huh. That is quite weird. Like, this logic shouldn't pass because it seems to indicate the opposite, that the D-pad device is not a D-pad device. So let's say we are actually right and they're not. And let's use has flag. Okay, let's fix this. Get axis value. What is axis head Y and X? Yeah, so okay, this is axis head X and axis head Y. Right, and so it should be like -1 or 1. But comparing like this is not really safe. Let's do something else. Just for clarity, I will do this. Come on. Ah. And let's do some epsilon to which we compare it. Okay, so if the difference between those values is smaller than the epsilon, we will return the proper direction. As for the direction, they are returning just a pure integer, but let's make it an enum. Well, actually, we can return the D-pad value itself. So virtual key. D-pad. We will return virtual key. And by default, it's going to be virtual key none. And defaulted to none. Direction pressed, and now let's continue here. Epsilon. Oh, yeah. So the question from chat is whether the directional arrows work as a gamepad or no. And I'm pretty sure it does work the same way on Android TV as well. Because I actually tested that when I was implementing the focus. And it seems like the D-pad is the same thing on the remote controller as well as on gamepad. So if this is implemented and it works, then it should actually handle both cases. At least I hope. Okay. So this is going to be up direction. Yeah, no problem. There is one very old issue on support of Android TVs in Uno Platform repo. So if we are able to fix it this way, then it's gonna be great, because we will be able to reach another new target, which would be TVs, and that would be quite a cool demo, maybe for UnoConf. We don't need this. And let's just comparing key codes. Yeah. Left. It's kind of repetitive, but it has to be done, so. Up. And oh, there is D-pad center actually, but I don't think that Windows supports the center. Or actually, I don't know if any gamepad controller does support like center pressing. So for now, we'll just ignore it because we cannot surface it to the user. Yeah, let's ignore it, and just like that we should have this finished. What is this? Oh, so we don't need this field, we have it as a variable, and this epsilon, it should be float, and this should be static. And apart from that, there's just this thing. And the reason is that input source type, not device. Okay. So let's see what happens if we run this like this. So we will use this class to check if the motion event contains the D-pad. Yeah, so we'll get the direction pressed, or maybe let's change this and make it return nullable instead. So this way we can easily check if any direction was pressed or just purely nothing. And this can be nullable. And just for completeness, I will add the source of this code. Okay. Now this should be good. Actually, this is not nice. Let's just return. Much better. And let's return here. So we get the direction pressed, and if it's an actual direction, then it's input coming from the D-pad, and we will have to handle it here. So we don't have any way to notify the gamepad. So maybe let's move this implementation here. So instead of having it there, let's create another method on motion event, on generic motion event. And let's move the logic here. All right. So this will do if gamepad on generic motion event return true so that it's handled, and then in the gamepad class we will implement it. So yeah, we can actually check if the device is a gamepad. That's a good first thing to check. That's actually a question if the way we currently check if it's a gamepad will break the Android TVs, but we can later confirm or check that just to make sure that it doesn't happen for the TVs. So the source types there are gamepad, and there is maybe joystick would be appropriate, and D-pad. Yeah, we can actually later change that if we find out that the Android TVs are not covered, but for now let's keep it like this. And so if the device is a gamepad, then I will use the logic that I had there. So if gamepad is pressed, actually this. Yeah, we have to retrieve the gamepad itself first. So on the gamepad, we will change the status of the buttons. So if D-pad is pressed, it's quite interesting to see if because the motion event will not notify us when the D-pad will be unpressed. So if we do key down there, so this implementation is actually wrong, because it can contain multiple different directions, not only a single direction on each side, but multiple. So that's kind of tricky. Okay, let's change this implementation now. It will start with none. And gamepad, or actually we can use gamepad buttons, that's more appropriate. And we will return either null, in that case there was no D-pad input, or we will return a combination of directions of the D-pad. So, but left. Up. And down. Same here. And if none of those is pressed, then we just return none. So like this, and the default is none, and we will return direction pressed. So that probably makes sense. And the only thing we have to do is to add the flags, not just override it. So it should be like this. The OR will ensure that the flag is added. Okay, that makes more sense than before. Let's go back to Android. So for now we get the direction. So if the direction is not null, then we want to set the proper buttons. It's here. Okay. But we cannot do just OR, because that would only add the newly pressed button, not remove those which are not pressed anymore. So we have to first clear the D-pad button state. So that should be how do we do that? I think we had the same problem there before. All right, this is the trick. So you basically end it with the negation of the button itself. So Well, let's do it in serial manner. So down, up, left, and right. So now hopefully we should have gamepad reading with cleared D-pad buttons, and now we add the directions that are actually active. That's gonna be interesting. Let's see what happens if we run it. This is called, so let's see. Okay, while it's building, we'll switch to light sensor. Okay, so I will steal the light sensor implementation, like the sensor implementation in general, from some other sensor, because it's gonna be basically the same thing with some differences, but only small ones. So we'll need some platform-specific initialization, or actually, not really. We need to call this part to initialize the wrapper. So let's do it like this. Light sensor. And then we will call this like the parameterless constructor in the main class, main file. Okay, now light sensor. Actually, let's do quick replace. All instances of barometer in this file will be light sensor. Oh, that was a mistake. I need to make sure it's case sensitive. And for lowercase barometer, let's do lowercase light sensor. So that's pretty nice. Okay, we can actually implement a report interval for Android. So I will add it here as implemented. Okay. We don't have any lock there. Oh, that's the reading changed wrapper. Should be like this. So that seems like a bug actually. So if the report interval is changed, we have to first stop reading and then start reading, not the other way around. Let's see if it's happening everywhere or just here. Yeah, that's right. Now it's here is correct. So let's verify here. Stop reading. Hinge angle. Stop reading. Start reading. So that was probably a barometer specific error. Okay. So we don't have any locking mechanism there. So we have to expose it from the start-stop event wrapper. Okay. And we will use it here. Good. So this should be good. Now this just creates the light sensor, starts reading, and oh, our application is now running. So let's switch quickly back to Gamepad. Right, so let's go to Windows Gaming. I'll put breakpoint here. It's not getting hit, so why is it not? So we're not getting the on generic motion event here at all. That's quite weird. Is there something else that's handling it, or? Oh, there is a base activity. But that's not getting hit either. That's confusing. Why it's not getting hit at all? Because this the buttons are, but the motion event is not. Oh, right. That is the problem. I should be using dispatch generic motion event, not on key down. Probably. It's interesting why this one works, but not the other. So there is override dispatch key event. And there is override dispatch generic motion event. Okay, that might be the reason why our original implementation didn't work. Because this is suited for the activity and we were using something that was suited for views. So that's no wonder then why it wasn't called. Okay, that changes things. The key event. So we will probably be able to handle both key down and key up in just a single method, and similarly for the generic motion event. So we'll just have to figure out how to tell if the key event is key down or key up. So there is action. Action down or action up. Get action. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. So let's change our gamepad handling accordingly. So we will have on key event. Just pass in the event itself and move this whole logic inside. Or actually no, this logic belongs to focus. Okay, so I will do the action key event actions down. So for key down events, we will forward it to focus handling, and for gamepad events, we'll focus it forward it here, and let's implement that one. So this will not be needed, and this neither. All right. So let's implement this on key event. So this will be a generalization of both methods on key up and on key down. So I will move that code here, this code here, and just merge them somehow. So we'll check if the device is a gamepad. We will get the gamepad and then check the action. So if it's down, we're gonna perform this code, and if it's up, we'll perform this code. And that's probably all that has to change. I have to take the key code from here and from here. That's simple enough. So now I'm quite interested to see if the D-pad events will be handled properly. Because this could actually be the problem that we were using on key down on the activity level, whereas the activity should use the dispatch key down. So that's quite promising. So now let's return here to our light sensor. And let's check how Light Sensor works in Android. So ambient, so it's type light, and it turns illuminance in lux. That's exactly what we need. And the type of the sensor is light. So that's the only change here. And the second one will be this processing one. So we will have to trigger the event. Let's see how we do it on WebAssembly. So we're just invoking the event itself. So maybe let's create some helper method to make it easier. So let's call it, yeah, it has to be internal on reading changed. And we'll move the logic from here. No. This whole logic, so it will take the lux value, create the reading, and then invoke the event. And actually, we can probably get, yeah, we have the timestamp here, so we can actually make the code accept directly the reading. That makes more sense actually. So let's do it like this. And we will do on reading changed, reading. So that's it for WebAssembly, and now the same for Android. We have to get the sensor. Let's do it like this. All right. And the reading is passed in, and in that reading we will get the event args and invoke the event. So that seems pretty good. And now the only thing left is to actually trigger the event here. All right. Should I make it? Okay, let's make it a little bit better still. So I will make this method static. I will move this logic inside. Just to minimize the copied code there. And in WebAssembly, then we can just simply call this, and the same for Android. Good. Okay, let's check on Gamepad, and it's still building. So far successfully, so that's promising. I'll see what happens then. So unfortunately I cannot build multiple Android applications at once. Or maybe I could, but I would just risk the emulate the Xamarin Android infrastructure to fail, so I will just wait for it. So we're deploying to the device. We'll see what happens. Okay. We're up and running, and fingers crossed. Oh, we're getting some motion events already. But that should be ignored. Alright. So let's go to Windows Gaming, current reading. Let's see what happens. Nice. So we're already getting some input events from the gamepad. So this was triggering the D-pad. So we're getting an event for D-pad, but it doesn't get further. So let's see what's the problem. Just to confirm, buttons are still working. They are. Okay. So normal buttons are still fully functional, but D-pad is not. So let's see. So the source of it is joystick. But not a D-pad. So it's not a D-pad device, and it fails. But the input event itself should have some interesting values. Oh. So the first event that happens is action move. The second is action move. But because one is down and one is up, probably. Okay, so that's not helpful. So let's just simplify this and accept more flags. So if it's a D-pad, or a joystick, or gamepad. So let's handle all these cases for the D-pad. Okay, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure if this is gonna work, but worth trying definitely. So it is interesting that the example code explicitly removes the D-pad input source type and handles all the rest, which doesn't make sense to me, at least at first. Okay, that's interesting. So it seems some controllers use key codes, some use the axis head, Y and X. So that means that we have to handle both. So that makes sense why for Xbox controller it doesn't come up with the key code, but instead it uses the axis. Okay, the build is gonna take some time. So for now I will at least build the samples application for the light sensor as well. So that we're building on all fronts. Oh, our build failed here. That's a lot of failures, but hopefully none of them is an actual fail. Oh, that's interesting. It's an interesting bug. Good, just intermittent issues. Should be okay. Everything's building, but this is deploying now, so we'll see. So definitely Android was, and it still is, the hardest platform to implement gamepad support for. iOS was quite uneventful. WebAssembly was super easy as well. But Android is quite a riddle. And not just because of the D-pad, but also the triggers and the thumbsticks will have to be implemented as well. Not even sure how to do that now. Okay, so current reading, we have nothing. Handling D-pad. Okay, so now we have something. D-pad right. Okay, that's good. Ah! The application crashed again. With no exception. Super weird. Okay, so let's go to gaming. Current reading. So D-pad right, D-pad up. Okay, we don't have the combination there. Why? Because probably the they both come in separate events. But how do I then tell which one is which one is no longer pressed? That is quite weird. Well, we'll see how it works. I'll put a breakpoint here, and we'll check how exactly the event looks and if there are multiple events. Especially interested if the second event contains both directions if I'm pressing 2 at once. Like, you definitely should, because how else would you then check if you're pressing both up and down, up and right, for example, at once? Like, it doesn't seem like there is a way to do it if this is not working. Oh, actually, we can do one thing. We can check the implementation in monogame, because they have gamepad support for Android. And that should be quite similar to what we need. It seems like they don't actually handle this properly either. The application is running. Alright, so I'll press right first. So let's put a breakpoint here. That's probably the problem. I'm using else if. Oh, actually, yeah, that's it. I'm using else if, even though I can actually get 2 different axes. 1, -1. Okay, that's it. So that's the problem. So I need to change this, and instead of else if, handle separately x-axis and y-axis. And hopefully this way we will be able to properly handle when two directions are pressed. Or actually we can, yeah, that's it. Yeah, the else if was the wrong thing there. And the same thing we should probably do here. Although the key event will have just one direction there. So that makes sense to keep it like this. But we have to check here. So for key event, so actually this part of the code is not going to be handled at all. If there is key event, it will be handled by our previous code. So we can just simplify this and use this code only for the motion event. Okay, so this is promising. Yeah, Windows 11, of course. What else? It's actually very good. Even now the preview version is quite stable, except for some flickering when you, for example, open the or change language. It flickers. But it's surprisingly stable, I would say. I haven't had big problems so far, and it's super smooth, like butter. So that I like it. So I'm just running in the meantime the light sensor implementation to see if we can close this one. It's nothing too special here, so I hope that will just work. First attempt like the light sensor on WebAssembly. And I'm very interested to see if this is gonna work now, or we will have to do some additional changes. And then we can implement the joystick movements. Actually, I have usually a widescreen monitor and much higher resolution, and for streaming I have to switch to full HD, so it's quite small. Not much space, but yeah, it forces you to actually properly format code so that it doesn't go off screen like here, because now you cannot see it. So that maybe it's actually helpful. Okay, I'm on the phone. Let's do devices. Not lamp, but light sensor. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Nice. So if I put my hand here, it changes luminance. When I remove it, point it at the light, it increases. So that's exactly what we needed. All right, and detach and reattach. Yeah, seems to work. Good. So light sensor was much easier than gamepad. Yeah, this works quite nice. All right, so first try. So we'll actually be able to commit this, but let's start building gamepad in the meantime. So We implemented this. Yes, we need this change. Then we have light sensor on WebAssembly, base class. This is the Android and our fix for barometer. Okay, seems safe. So let's do actually let's check light sensor support on Android, commit, push, and we're done here. So let's make the PR ready for review. Oh, this merged. I need this one and light sensor. Ready for review. Boom. And Android. All right. Another sensor, good to go. There's not many other sensors that we are not supporting already. I think we have almost full coverage. Sensors. So environment sensors. Because most of these are actually not supported on Windows, so it doesn't make sense to make it like part of Uno Platform, because we are basing our code on the Windows implementation. Maybe something that could go into a toolkit of sorts to add additional sensor support. But yeah, we have the pressure and light sensor supported, and humidity sensor, I don't think that's available on Windows. Yeah, doesn't seem so. Not yet. Yeah, maybe something for Microsoft to implement. That's probably the thing I'm most afraid of, as now there's high focus on desktop. So these mobile specific features are getting ignored. And it would be nice if they were supported further, and we would get new APIs which are actually not available on desktop but are still useful for tablet devices and some potential Surface phone devices in the future. Who knows? We're still building here. Oh god. The builds on Android are very slow. As for now, let's try out the focus management in WebAssembly. It's still in early stages, but it's gonna be a very useful feature, I hope. So when it loads, in the latest versions of Uno Platform, we added the focus management. This is similar to what we can find in UWP. So now you can actually tap and shift tab between controls on the page, like this. And you can even trigger those by pressing enter and so on. So that's a pretty nice thing, and I think it could be very useful for applications built in Uno Platform, because this is a very important power user feature and also accessibility feature in general. So, and when we have the gamepad implemented, then we could actually implement also support for focus navigation using the gamepad, which is yet another cool thing, and that's going to be useful for Android TVs especially. Right, well, hopefully deploying. If I plan to make a game, then yes, I have a in progress game called Alchemy, which I have on Windows, but I want to bring it to Uno Platform. Let's see. It's quite old now. I haven't updated it in a while, but it's basically completely built in XAML. It's not much non-XAML code. It's actually currently completely XAML, but the future version would be using Skia# for the rendering. But the point is that as it's XAML, it should be quite easily portable to Uno Platform. So that's my next step. And yeah, and adding gamepad support to it would be quite nice. All right, let's run this. So let's see what happens now. It will either work or completely fail. So the new store is much better, but the reliability of downloads is still not great. Like it sometimes stops or freezes, and the downloading speed and values are not very accurate. Hopefully it's gonna improve. But it's still much better than the previous store, so I shouldn't complain. Alright, so D-pad right, D-pad up. Alright, nice. So I can now press multiple directions at once, and it properly updates. That's good. Finally it works. Okay, and I can press them in conjunction with other buttons, so it does work as we expect it to. All right, nice. So the only remaining things are the thumbsticks. The thumbsticks. How will we do that? Oh, the thumbsticks and the timestamp, because we need to update that as well. So let's do timestamp first. Timestamp. And we should be able to get the timestamp from the motion event. Event time. So how do we convert that? This is nice, but maybe actually have something like that already somewhere. Let's go to our sensors. here, because I think there was something like timestamp there, and it seems to be the same thing. So why not generalize this and use it everywhere? But for now, let's just move it here, because all the sensors are using it, so I wouldn't touch it for now. Like this. And event time. So this should handle the timestamp. Oh, although it's actually long on Uno, on the UWP as well, so we don't have to convert it. Oh, okay. That's much easier. And because it's based on uptime, it should be always positive. So let's do like this. All right. So that's a timestamp. The same thing we need here as we handle the key down and key up events. All right. All right, this is the event. And should have also event time. Good. So that's the timestamp. And finally, the thumbsticks and triggers. So let's go. So, action move. There is this. Okay. Yes, many controls have both left and right joystick. Axis X, Y, Z, R, Z. Then we have shoulder trigger presses. Makes sense. So this is handling the input. So it gets centered axis using some history position. What is that? Like batching those is not a problem. We don't need the historical values because we need just the latest one in our case. So we can keep it simple. So we get motion range, and then we apply on it. Flat. What is get flat? Interesting. Okay, let's try to port this somehow. So the motion event is there. Input device. Then axis, and we don't need historic position. And now somehow let's implement the code here. So we get motion range. For a given axis, and actually we can use proper enum here. All right, so we get motion range, and now this magic. So if it's not null, we will get flat. Then the value. And then we will do this ignore. So that's gonna be interesting if this works or not. But it makes sense, kinda. So it just requires additional range to make sure that we're not capturing 0 values all the time. We get only the relevant ones. And now how they use this method. All right, so processing looks like this. Just keep this part. Why is this complaining? Oh, right, because we have null returns there. So I have to put it here. And this one goes here as well. And now let's do the motion events. So let's paste this whole code. So we have motion event, input device, and now the axis. Y, Z, and ZR. RZ. Yeah, I'm using actual device for this one because I need to connect the gamepad, so that's not possible in an emulator, unfortunately. So RZ. I'm not sure why it's named a little bit. Okay, it's a different casing, but it should be the same thing, hopefully. So we know that the input device is not null, so I can do this because we already know that it's a gamepad based on this one. There's so many errors suddenly. But hopefully that's just Visual Studio complaining. Okay, let's ignore these. So this is handling the axis, and we also need the triggers. And we need one more indentation, probably, yeah. So this is this one. Okay. So return true here. All right. So we have the thumbsticks, and we also need. Where is it? We also need R trigger and left trigger. L trigger. All right, so that should be all we need, and now just having to map those values to our gamepad reading. Well, actually, we can set it immediately here. So left thumbstick X. Let's do it like this, so it's readable. Epsilon. Now it's gonna be right thumbstick X. Epsilon. Left trigger. Oh, right trigger. And left trigger. Okay. Whew, that was quite something. So let's now see if this works on a real device. Let's run it and hope for the best. So yeah, let's play Alchemy. Yeah, I haven't updated it in a while, but it's a simple game. You can create elements from other elements and basically discover new things. There is actually a way to do windows there. I'm not sure how right now, but it was possible. Like this, you can make brick house. Okay, not that, but when you have wall, you can somehow create glass or window. How was it? This is not gonna help, but there is a way to do it. What was the trick? Pressure, maybe pressure. No. Oh, build failed. Oh, really? Oh. Thanks for that. Not all code. Okay, so I just moved this return to the wrong place. It should be here instead. Thanks for the info. That saves us some time. So how do you make a window? You have to make somehow make not this. I don't really remember, but it's definitely possible. So if you want to try, you can get an achievement for it. I think there is Windows achievement for this element. So the goal is basically to first get actual window, like a house window, and then you use 2 windows to create windows as multiple, and that gives you the achievement. And from Windows you can actually create Windows inside the program, you can create Microsoft itself, and so on. It's just a fun game, but yeah, I have a good progress on Uno Platform version, but it's still missing the command bar, which is currently being in development, and hopefully it will be soon properly supported in Uno Platform as well. So after that, it should be quite easily portable. All right. Still building the runtime tests. It's unfortunate it has to build all the projects that are even non-changed, because we did changes in the base Uno library, so it has to build Uno and then Uno UI, then Uno UI runtime tests, then the samples app itself. Yeah. Right. C++ compiles extremely long, and it also eats up a lot of resources. So if you try to build the Microsoft UI XAML library, you definitely need around 20 gigabytes of storage left on your hard drive, because it really does use a lot of space for the actual build. Yeah, it's sad. Like, I cannot imagine how they actually built a bigger thing like the WinUI 3, which contains everything, including the UI controls, but also the other things, the non-UI APIs, and so on. That must be must kill completely the full hard drive. And the build itself must run for a very long time. I'm hoping that they will open source WinUI 3 soon, because it's taken a long time. It was supposed to be open source last year in November, I think, but it's keep getting pushed back further and further. Right. Okay, we're deploying, so let's hope for the best. So this application, I didn't mention it, is the A Power Mirror application. It allows you to actually share the screen of the phone to the PC. Actually, I think now you could use the Your Phone application on Windows, but that one doesn't work well with iOS, so this is a more universal solution. Okay, so we have Windows Gaming, current reading. Let's see, left thumbstick. You're not getting the values there. Okay, for right thumbstick, I am getting values. That's nice. Left thumbstick is working as well. Only the triggers are not really getting red. Let's see what happens. Oh, the motion range for triggers is null. So that seems it doesn't have any flat range. Or does it? Maybe now? No, it's the same thing, so that's the problem. So we cannot check for the range in this case. We'll just have to use the value that we are getting. So if the range is null, then we will just use the value that we are offered by the axis. That seems like a safe workaround, even though it might not be completely zero. This is still better than having no value at all. Yeah, I think that should be fine. It's surprising that they don't mention it here, though. So left pump, no, trigger. They don't have any specific mention of that here, but I suppose it's the same thing. Like, we are getting that event, so I guess the only difference from the joysticks is that it doesn't have the range support. Oh, right, I have a flux enabled. That might be a nicer color for the viewers. I have a lot of applications here. So that's the proof that you're a Windows developer when you have a lot of app number applications installed. But what I wanted to show is the XAML controls gallery. The new version is actually using already the mica background for the application, so it changes color when you move it. That's pretty nice. Yeah, the new styles of 2.6 are pretty nice as well. Like in general, like the date pickers are very beautiful. I really like this. Super nice. Super clean design. It's a huge improvement over the last, the previous Fluent version. Yeah, and dialogues are beautiful. Like this is super nice. So where are we? Deploying. Okay. Okay, starting. So let's hope for the best. This time we finally could have the final solution. Oh. Let's go to Windows Gaming. Current reading. Let's see. Ah. Debugger crashed, but can still test it. It's weird that the debugger crashes so often, but I don't see any exception in particular, so I hope that's just some intermittent issue. Yeah, probably caused by the gamepad itself. Okay. Alright, so still nothing. So that's getting weird now. Why are we not getting any events here? Oh. Incorrect mapping. The trigger buttons are matched to RX and RY. Okay. Like it could be it. It is weird, but let's give it a try. Well, let's actually check in the meantime the monogame implementation again to see how they handle triggers. Android input, not input. Okay, let's search for it. Search for on motion event maybe. Why I didn't see it before? Okay, so generic motion event. They're also using the L trigger and R trigger. So I'm not really sure why it wouldn't work for us and it would work for them. But maybe it's just the wrong mapping somehow. We'll see just in a few seconds now. Yeah. This makes sense to me. I don't see a problem with this code. Okay, deploying. Hopefully we'll get something now. So the code will probably then need some kind of general handling, like to make sure that we handle all the possible weird mappings. So if this will return 0, then we'll try the right trigger, for example, or the break, or what they had there. Just, you know, to try all the edge cases. But it would be nice to have some success here. Okay, let's go to Windows Gaming, current reading, and let's see. So I'm not getting the local values here, but maybe here. It doesn't seem like we're getting anything useful. No. So what could be a value there? Yeah, we are getting here, so the value is retrieved. I'm not sure if we can do the like motion event get axis value axis. Can I run code like this? Yes, I can. So I can do axis right trigger No, I cannot. Probably not. It would be nice if there was a way to like see which axes are associated with the specific motion event, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Also, the application is now frozen because of my request here. Ah, that is unfortunate. Let's do a final check here. If you see something useful, but I don't really see anything that would be usable. So maybe this is something that we'll have to leave for next time, because I don't see a solution so far, and just confirms that Android gamepad handling is quite complicated. Well, I will leave this for the next time, and hopefully the next time we'll finally really complete the Android gamepad handling, because it has been a long journey already. And with Android finished, we will be able to close up the Gamepad API itself, and that would be it. So with having gamepad support in Uno Platform, we could then finally do focus handling on gamepad and move further with many different issues like the Android TV support. So that would be some quite interesting thing to do. All right, thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.